Today I'm going to walk you through the 8 pillars to build an 8-figure business, even if you're at 0. I'm going to tell you through some of the lessons and some of the most important things that really ingrained in my brain that I have learned. Number 1, you need to have obsession with one avatar, one offer, and one problem you actually solve. Because people get paid for the problems they solve in life. The bigger the problem you solve, the more you will earn. Now, this is where most coaches sell to too many people. The reality of what we do is, say, for example, at 7 Figure Scaling Systems, we focus on solving one problem. We help people who are fitness coaches or coaches in general online make money. That's our sole purpose. We want to help you increase your revenue, increase your fulfillment, get more freedom from your business. That is essentially it. We're not teaching you in terms of how to create Mr. Olympia bodybuilder competitors. And this is a reality I think I see too many fitness coaches or business owners in general. They try and flip the script in terms of what they're trying to do. They're trying to be a high rocks coach, but they also want to work with menopausal women, and then they also want to take some men on as clients because they kind of came to them as like, you get paid for being the best at one thing, so you really need to nail down that and speak to one audience specifically. And this is a mistake I see happen over and over and over again. And I can see with some of our highest performing clients, we work with 7 Figure Scaling Systems. A lot of them work with very specific niches. Dave Kennedy works with just farmers, for example, making 150,000 euros a month. We have clients who just work with Asian women in America. We have clients who just work with PCOS women. We have clients who work with women just in the Middle East. We had a client actually join us yesterday. She specifically works with women over 35 in Singapore. I thought it was quite interesting, different. And this is what you have to think about. Solve one problem for one type of client and max it out before you get distracted. And I say this as someone who is like the ultimate idea fairy. I love ideas. I've always got constant merry-go-round of different things I want to try and do. And I'm going to explain exactly later on in this video and this podcast of what you should do when that happens. Number 2 is relentless focus on acquisition leverage. Now, it sounds like I'm mindful. What does that mean? I think about everything I do from a marketing standpoint. How can I make this a leveraged opportunity? This podcast and video right now, this is going to go onto video format. This is going to go into audio. We're going to clip this into reels. This will constantly bring traffic and eyeballs into my world every single day, every single week, every single month. This will continue to play in 20 years, 30 years, 100 years when I'm still dead. Still dead? I'm actually alive now, when I'm dead. And this is what you need to think about, is what the high leverage marketing opportunities you can do that are going to bring clients into you. So paid ads, organic content, outbound with a team, building referral systems. That's what you want to focus on. At 7 Figure Scaling Systems, we don't just run ads and kind of hope for the best. We don't just kind of post content and hope for the best. We're very specific in terms of kind of what we're looking to try and do and who we're looking to try and pull into our world and systematize that process. And this is basically where we call it spiderweb marketing. We build an ecosystem where we pull people into our world. And I'll give an example. We had a client, Jose, who joined us this week. And actually you can look on our ad tracking software. He came into our world in June last summer from a Facebook ad. And then he booked in a call in December from a YouTube video. And then he ended up joining us this week when someone followed up with him. And this is where there's multiple different touch points to try and convert a client. But most people don't think about the long game, and they also don't have the systems and the ecosystem in process to actually be able to pull people through. Because Google did something called a study in terms of people's buying behaviors. People on average need to consume 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points. And this is where most people don't understand in terms of what they're actually doing. They're kind of just posting 30-second reels on Instagram and hoping people are going to buy their program. You kind of need to warm people up a little bit more now, which is the biggest thing you need to understand. It's how to do that with leverage to pull people into your business and track the data to do it. Number 3 is build a brand that compounds attention. So if you think about people follow systems, but they buy from people. So the 3 biggest superpowers that are going to happen over the next 3 years if you want to make money and you want to scale your business. Number 1, it's going to be AI. Number 2, it's going to be personal brand. Number 3 is knowing how to run paid ads. If you can do those 3 very well, you will absolutely crush and dominate your niche. And these are the big things we're actually helping our clients with, because no one's teaching these things. No one's thinking 2-3 steps down the line. And that's kind of where you want to be. You want to be like the chess master CEO of your business and think strategically 3 to 5 moves ahead, rather than what's in front of you right now, which is why most people are very reactive rather than trying to be proactive. So think about where you're going to be in 6 months, think about where you're going to be in 12 months. And you want to use these long form content pieces to try and pull people into your world and then warm them up to you. because you want to build a system and ecosystem that builds omnipresence, and that's what drives trust at scale, because skepticism right now is at an all-time high, which is why it's even more important you need to hammer clients with social proof. And something I think about all the time, and I would write this down to get a pen and paper because this will make you money, is proof over promises. You have to like batter your clients around the head, or potential clients around the head, with social proof constantly. You can do that for them organically, you can run retargeting ads. I would suggest doing both, and I would do them at scale and volume, and that will help you scale your business. Number 4, become a systems thinker, not just a hustler. Now, for you to get to 6 figures, it's just kind of hustle. You've got to grind it out and actually do enough of the thing to kind of get success. A lot of people struggle with that. In my opinion, that's incredibly simple. 7 figures is using leverage, but 8 figures is going to be systems. And this is where you have to think differently at each different level you're at. And I say you as the owner and operator of your business, you have to think differently, because I would say in terms of how I've developed, we'll talk about this later on, is I was originally like a battering ram. I would just want to run through all the walls, I want to do everything myself, and it kind of worked and it gets you a certain point, but you're also going to start to hate the business you're building, and B, it's not probably the best way you can kind of design a business, because you can't be the best at every single thing you do. And what you have to do is you want to move from being a doer to a designer, to an architect of the business. You want to focus on like building out systems, SOPs, like workflows, automations, building an AI, but also think about being like the master recruiter. Because if you want to have a great business, you need to have a great team. So you need to be able to like think about like a football analogy, like transfer window. How can you get the best players to come and join your team? Where do you find them from? How do you pull them into your world? That is essentially your job as you build the business, is to build a better business by bringing in better talent. At the beginning, you can't get the best people. Why? You can't pay them enough. B, they're probably not going to want to work for a new business with no credibility. But as your business starts to grow, the demand on your team will start to grow, and you will need better and better people to come in and fill those seats. Now, this can often lead to some very uncomfortable conversations where people end up keeping employees for far too long and actually kneecaps them in terms of growing their business. The reality is you have to understand, you have to be kind but not nice. So if someone isn't pulling their weight, it's your job for actually their own future to really kind of call them out on that. And that's a mistake I see a lot of coaches making, is they have maybe coaches on their team who are coaching fitness clients. They're paying them way too much to do that, and they're also not doing a great job. And when they try and like hold them accountable to it, the coach kind of pushes back. Why? Because you've been too like lax for a long period of time, and your job is to set the pace, set the standard, and pull everyone in the business up to that.
Quick interjection into the podcast. If you're an online coach who's looking to scale the business, get their first 5K month, 10K month, or even get to 50 to 100K a month, we have helped hundreds of trainers do this at this point, and I've personally generated over $14 million online in the fitness industry. We have a proven methodology that works, provided you're willing to do the work. Now, if you want to book in a free business audit, we'll break down exactly where you are now, where you want to go, and what's currently holding you back. Hit the link below this video and below the podcast to find out exactly how we can help you. Pick a time, and we will walk you through the process of where your business is at and what exponential growth looks like. Now, back to the podcast.
Number 5 is having a scalable offer with margin, as in profit margin and LTV. Now, the amount of coaches who make no money because they try and scale a cheap product and they don't actually understand that it's not about actually just selling like sales volume, it's about profit that counts, because revenue will feed the ego, profit will feed the family. You have to actually make money, which is the whole goal of the business. So then you can either pay yourself, invest into assets, or also put the money back into the business to actually scale it faster. And you don't scale cheap businesses, cheap programs, you scale value. So the higher the value of the thing you sell, the better it can actually be. So this is where you have to think about constantly trying to increase your prices in terms of what you charge. And then also within your business, you want to obsess over reducing churn, reducing the people leaving the program, maximizing the LTV in terms of how long people stay with you. So LTV is lifetime value of a customer. On average, how much does someone pay you whilst they're working with you? And you want to make sure that you have a great like ascension model. So if you have one program, how do you pull them to the second one? Clear transformation, you want clear different pricing, clear different like features in terms of essentially what you do. And that's how you build a business that can really kind of scale up, is by having a decent profit margin, great LTV, and that's where you're going to have a very stable business. Because also everyone's seen the jokes about the client who pays like $50 and they expect the entire world and you to change their life, and they're literally sending a letter saying they've just done a prayer to hope that you can like get them out of the shit situation they're in. And then someone sends you like 10 grand and they're like, oh, I've just sent the money. I look forward to working with you. The reality is you don't need the pressure of clients who are going to be difficult, because if you put difficult clients into your business, it's going to piss off your team members a lot, and it can create a very unscalable business with a lot of headaches and a lot of disruption for you from your focus. Number 7 is a relentless performance culture. So you want to be doing sales call reviews constantly. We teach how to do that specifically with AI in terms of how you could review, for example, a whole team's worth of sales reviews, like 50 in one go in about 30 seconds. Second thing is having like weekly KPIs and a scorecard in terms of what you need to be doing. Are your team sending through end of day reports? Like, you don't hope for results in your business, you engineer them. You literally can reverse engineer the results you want by actually also incentivizing, paying your team for the things you want to kind of happen. And the team reflects the tempo of the founder. And most people who actually start to scale their business, they get comfortable and they like want to just chill out and lay back. And that's kind of why things die off. And if we look at number 8, is a constant identity shift as you as the business owner. And this is the most difficult thing most people actually have to struggle to do with. You have to like shed the version of you. So if you're making 10 to 20,000 pounds a month, you want to get to 100K a month, you have to change your own identity that comes with money, how you think, what you do. Like throughout my career, I've invested over $400,000 in mentors. I've changed my environment multiple times. And like all these things have upgraded how I think. And this actually leads you to scaling. And 80% of it is the who, not the how. And the who is actually you watching and listening to this right now. Because the reason you are not making the money you want, the reason you're not seeing the success you want, the reason maybe you don't get the traffic you want into your business is not because of necessarily tactics or strategy or whatever it is. It's ultimately down to you, because it's how you think, it's how you act. And this is not a mindset problem, this is a behavior problem. And this is where most people get this completely backwards. And you have to understand that the most important thing you actually need to have is focus. Where most people don't actually have the ability to kind of focus on one thing. They're constantly getting distracted, constantly getting pulled down different avenues. And you have to think about removing the red shiny objects and think about you being successful and you getting to the next level of you is actually removing stuff away. Even if it's you working with some clients. You working with less clients, you have more headspace to focus on your business will grow. And here's a great thing I actually heard Gary Vaynerchuk say. And I was like, bam, that's money. And it's literally, if you want to scale your business really fast, spend 50% of your time with your employees, not your customers. And that's the last gem I want to leave you with. These are the 8 things you need to do if you want to get to 8 figures in your business really, really quick. Took value from the podcast, smash a like. If you took a lot of this and you really want to see me make more of these type of style podcasts, take a screenshot, tag me on the stories. I'll personally message you back on Instagram, and I'll see you next episode very soon.